All right, welcome. Well, we're going to get started, and people can jump in as they get here. And I welcome anyone who's on this webinar. If you feel comfortable coming off of mute and video, so we can see and participate. I would love this to be as interactive as possible. I don't want to just sit here and talk for the whole hour, but if you don't feel comfortable, that's fine too. But the more you want to participate, the better it is. And so I welcome and encourage that. All right, so what are we here to talk about? Well, this whole webinar is called Strategic Pricing for Profit. So what does that mean? I want to start by giving you a slogan that I think really speaks to what we're here to talk about today. And so the slogan goes something like this: revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. So let me say it again. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. Because in the end, in business, cash is the lifeblood. Cash is what supports the operations. Cash is what supports the growth. And cash is the tangible result of the efforts of the company. And so that's what we're going to talk about, is how we can be strategic with our pricing, which hopefully leads to additional cash, and then how we could leverage that cash to increase our profitability. Okay, please interrupt me at any time if you have any questions. So my name is Warren Sager, and I am a certified scaling up coach. Scaling up is a business growth system created by Vern Harnish. These are the books that he's created, and there's a lot of great methodology and tools within this book and within the framework that we coach our clients on. And so I'll be referring to some of this today. So scaling up is about four things, because within business, there are some really four big decisions that drive and scale your growth: people, strategy, execution, and cash. So today in this webinar, obviously we're going to talk through some strategy on pricing, and then we're going to talk through some cash methodology with how to increase profits and cash. All right, so strategic pricing. So let's start with strategy. What is strategy? It's actually one of those things that people maybe don't think about it as much. Strategy actually means something. So this is Michael Porter. He is a thought leader in the business world and an expert on strategy. And this is the definition of strategy that we kind of use when we work with our clients, because it really kind of speaks to a lot of what we believe in. So first of all, strategy is having a unique and valuable position. Strategy enables you to have trade-offs, and it's creating fit. So what strategy isn't, though, is operational effectiveness. So let me start explaining this a little bit. So unique and valuable position. Well, what does that mean? That you want to actually do something that your customers value, and it's unique to you. If you do what every other person in your industry or category is doing, why should they do business with you? And if you're not unique and you're not valuable or anything special about how you operate, what you do internally, externally, or how you come across to your customers, then why should they pay you any more than they would pay anyone else? And in fact, what starts to happen is you start having to then compete on what? Price. So I'm going to jump to that in a second. So that's what unique and valuable position is. So trade-offs. To be really great, valuable, and to show your customers what's amazing about what you do, you have to have trade-offs. You cannot do everything. You cannot be everything to your customer. Customers will want you to death. What needs to happen is you need to be clear about what your customer really needs, what they value more than anything, and then deliver on that at a highest level and an exceptional value to them. If you do that, then they'll keep coming back for more. If you don't have trade-offs and every customer comes to you and you try to meet every customer's needs, it's going to dilute what you're able to do for any and all customers, and you'll be okay or good at almost everything, but not great at anything. Well, if you're not great at anything, going back to, are you really being unique and valuable? And if you're not, how can you strategically price your product and service at a level that gets you, further ahead than what anyone else is doing. So very important to figure out what it is that you value, that your customers value, that you think is unique and will make you stand out, what those trade-offs are or aren't that you have to, put in place. So let me give you an example on trade-offs. Walmart and Target, two big retail stores that we all know. And on the surface, they're actually very similar. If you go through Walmart and you go through Target, a lot of the same products are there. They're generally the same kind of business, right? A big box store with lots of products to meet most of your needs. But what's the real big difference between Target and Walmart? The big difference is the trade-offs that they've decided. So Walmart has a trade-off. They say, we want to be the lowest price. And what trade-off are we saying we have to give for that? Well, we have to have less service. So Walmart does not have great service because service costs more money and the customers want service. Of course, we all want great service, but what we really need are low prices. So Walmart says if we're going to be unique and valuable to our customer with low prices, then we have to give up on service and have less people because that costs too much. So that is a decision they made. And people probably always complain about the service at Walmart. And Walmart basically says, well, we don't care because we know if we fix that for you, which of course they're completely capable of doing, they can increase their service level, but it'll come at a cost. And that cost is going to affect their pricing. And then if they actually don't deliver what they promised their customers, which is low prices, recipe for disaster. So they hold to that. Now, let's flip over to Target. So what about Target? So Target has made the other trade-off. The prices at Target are going to be a little higher than they are at Walmart. And not always. Again, there's no absolutes here. And because of that, they actually have better service because they are paying for that service with a little bit higher prices. That is their unique and valuable position. And it's clear when you walk around Walmart, it has a different atmosphere and vibe and how they do things than they do at Target. And that's okay. It's done on purpose. But no one is going to confuse Target and Walmart. They're unique and different in their own way because they have trade-offs. And then finally, creating fit. So of course, creating fit is making sure that whatever it is that your customers really do need, that you are creating products and services in a business around meeting those needs. So that's what fit is all about. This is what strategy is in business, having a unique and valuable position with trade-offs and creating good market fit. Now, in red here, what isn't strategy? Strategy is not operational effectiveness. So I would like to share a quick story with you to help explain what that's all about. So I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've started and scaled 6 different companies over my career. And my first company a long, long time ago was a mattress manufacturing company. We made mattresses and sold them in our own factory direct retail stores. A really neat business. Now, just to take it a step back before that, when I got out of business school, I went to work for Walmart. I was talking about them a minute ago, but I went to work for them because, 30 years ago, they were the top business in the United States. Huge, growing, very profitable. I wanted to learn business from the best. So I did. I was a manager there for many years. And through those experiences, I learned about operational effectiveness. Walmart is really great at running a very tight, efficient business so they can squeeze as much profit out of what they're doing with their low margins. So that's what they taught me. But of course, what's going on in other parts of the business that I didn't see as a manager out in the stores? There is a whole bunch of strategy that's going on that I don't get to participate in. So it really wasn't kind of in my mind. And again, I was a young entrepreneur, young leader. So when I started my own business, that mattress manufacturing business, what was I focused on? I was focused on this, operational effectiveness. I thought that's how you grew a business. I was just going to work hard, smart, and just kill it in business. And guess what? I did. We were growing every year. We were running a very tight operation. But what I didn't do is keep in mind that I needed to create a unique and valuable position. I needed to think about what my trade-offs were. I needed to make sure I had really strong market fit. And so I was growing and growing and growing, and I literally grew myself out of business. 2 things happened. one, and I'll get to this later, is cash flow. Important to have proper, healthy cash flow, and I'm going to speak to that later. But what really happened is I wasn't clear to my market what my fit was. I wasn't clear on my valuable position. And when others joined the market, they did a better job there. And I couldn't compete with the pricing that they were putting out there. I had not strategically positioned myself to be valuable to the customer so they would be willing to pay a higher price for my products and service over theirs. And they ate my lunch. So it was a hard lesson to learn. I actually did lose the business, my first one. And it's a valuable lesson in entrepreneurship. And of course, I learned from that, grew, and didn't let that happen again. But it hopefully helps explain this whole idea of strategy is creating a unique and valuable position. It's doing things different. Doing things different. So competition. Do you want to compete to be the best? Or do you want to compete to be unique? People talk, oh, we're the best, we're the number one. Yeah, you know what? It's hard to really prove. And even if you prove it, who really cares? That's not what you're going for. You don't want to compete to be the best. You want to compete to be unique and create that unique and valuable position that meets the needs of your customers and has trade-offs, because to be awesome at some things, you have to be bad at something else. You can't do everything for everyone. So that's kind of the way to start thinking about what strategy is. Okay, so now you have an idea what strategy is. So what do? So you want to do some strategic analysis and execution of your business. It starts by looking at your industry externally, right? What's going on out there in the world. Your internal analysis, what's going on within your current business. And you want to do some evaluation of that based on kind of what we talked about, unique and valuable position, market fit. Okay, then you kind of create your plan. What's our strategy going to be? What's our positioning? You know, and all these things that you have to work on as a leader within a business to help make sure you're building a strong business. And you execute on that plan. Real simple. Analyze, evaluate, make the plan, execute. And then the final step, really, really important, is you have to loop it back. Now that you've executed, you've got to always constantly be reevaluating what you're seeing in the market and what you're seeing internally based on what you're doing. You can't just set a plan in motion and then just stop and just say, okay, that's the plan. We're just going to keep running it. No, constantly reevaluate the plan. A good analogy to this is, I don't know how many of you are big football fans, but if you watching a football game and you're watching a team basically getting killed by the other team, then it's halftime. They go into the locker room. What's going on? The leaders of the team, the leaders of the players and the coaches, they're evaluating what's happened in that first half. And how many times have you seen a team come out the second half and it's like they're a completely different team and something has changed and their performance and the results, all of a sudden they wind up winning the game? Well, what happened? They had a plan and they executed on it in the first half. It wasn't working. They reevaluated based on what was happening. They made some changes and they executed a new plan. So that's what we need to do in business. Always be doing that. What we do with a lot of our clients is we have quarterly retreats, and it gives us a moment in time every 3 months to reevaluate how our plan has been working, the results of our plan, and what then we need to do different over the next three months. It's kind of like a 13-week sprint. It's kind of really a good physical and mental way to operate a business where you have enough time that goes by where you're still, just running a plan, because you don't want to be changing all the time. If you're focused on following everything that you think about, you'll be all over the place and never really be able to deliver. But every 3 months is a really good rhythm of thinking about, okay, how did we do? What's going on? Let's reevaluate and then make a new plan. And so that's what we do with our clients. So strategic analysis and execution is working through what's going on, what you're doing, and then evaluate and going back over and over and over again. All right, so we have a question, and I wanted this to be interactive, so thank you. I'm going to review this question, and let's answer it right now. Whoops. What strategy do you advise on doing when competing with large companies as a startup, even if you are offering a unique and valuable service? Okay. Great question. So when you compete against large companies, you got to understand what their strengths and weaknesses are and what yours are. And you can't hit them head on. This is exactly what I was talking about. This whole idea of what is unique and valuable that you can do that they can't do. And once you really get clear on what that is, then that's what you need to be marketing to and focusing on with your target customer. So just get really clear about what you can compete against and what you can't. Obviously, there are things that they can do a lot better than you. So those are the things you shouldn't be trying to compete against. And you know what? If you can't find things that make you unique and valuable and compete against those big guys, it's a hard statement to make, but maybe you're not in the right business, or maybe you haven't really thought about, why you should be in business. The key is if you want to compete against the big guy, and you can, remember, what can't the big guy do? The big guy cannot adjust and be as nimble as you are, right? Can't do it. They're too big. They don't make those decisions that fast. What can't they do? They can't probably be as more personalized about specific things that you can. So be really thinking about what their strengths are, and they have a lot, but from those strengths come weaknesses. So what are your strengths, and how do you capitalize on your strengths and then offset what their weaknesses are that become your strengths? If you find that those sorts of niches, that's when you'll be successful against the big guy. And one of the biggest things, though, with big guys is they usually have bigger dollars and bigger marketing to hit the market with, to get the eyeballs. So, okay, great. Well, then you need to figure out how you could be way more strategic. And your target customer needs to be a lot smaller. They might be trying to get this group of people, and you might have to work on just this group of people, because the less people you're focusing on, the more strategic you can be with them and create that market fit. Give them that unique and valuable position and show them how you can meet their needs better than the big guy does. I hope that answers the question. All right. So now you have a strategy, right? Okay. You know what strategy is. You've created a strategy. Now what you have to do is leverage that strategy to create profits. Because again, that's what this whole webinar is about. Trying to create a solid strategy to increase profits. So now kind of what we're doing is we're moving into the cash side of things. And it's so weird when we talk about, profits, why are we not talking about money? Because money is the result of the strategy. But it's important to have the right strategy first. And that is exactly what we're trying to do here, is create the right strategy. If you create the right strategy, you can make a lot of money. Another great example, let's talk about Apple, one of the most profitable and valuable companies in the world. They sell a cell phone. In fact, I have one of them right here. They charge a whole bunch of money for this thing. In fact, way more than anybody else. And because of that, they've created a tremendous amount of profit. So much profit. Their cash stockpiles are ridiculous. Why has that happened? Well, because of exactly what we're talking about. They've created a very unique and valuable position, and they exploit it. And they don't apologize for it. They know the value that they're bringing out in the market, and they've created that with their customers. And as long as they keep delivering, which they do, they're able to make a tremendous amount of money. So those are the kind of examples you need to be thinking about for whatever it is that you do. How you can create something so valuable that can, create profit. So, but this is like a high-tech item, and we talked about big stores. Let me give you one more example of something that on the completely other end of the spectrum, because you say, well, I can't do that with my product or service, or my thing can't really be that unique, or there's just not enough way I could differentiate my product than somebody else. And I'm going to challenge you and say, if you think that, you're probably just not thinking strategic enough. So there's a company out there that makes ball bearings. Those little round metal things that's used in all sorts of industrial applications. As far as I'm concerned, it is the most boring, uninteresting, ununique thing out there. It's a ball bearing. Like, who the heck cares? I just want to get the cheapest ball bearing for, that I can get for what I need. So, okay, great. So that's the kind of challenge I think that would be out there for some of you that might be thinking about. So what did this one company do that was in the ball bearing business? Okay, they said, hey, We still want to be unique and valuable. We want to stand out. We want to be able to make more profits and be a stronger company. So what do? So they really dug deep and they started doing some unique things with their ball bearings. The details are not important. And then they started creating marketing around what those things are. They branded those things. And this isn't just fluff marketing. This was something real. But anyway, long story short, is they were able to take something as boring as a ball bearing, and they now became the leader in their little niche of whatever they were selling in ball bearings and able to get, I think the number I remember seeing is like 25% higher price for a very small commodity item than anyone else because they've created enough unique value to their customer base that they were willing to buy that. Now they're not competing on price. Now they're very unique and have a niche in the market that they just have to stay ahead of. But even as something as silly and unexciting as a ball bearing can have a unique and valuable position and create a strategy around it. You don't just say, oh, well, I just got to just sell more than the next guy, or I just got to be, more efficient with how I sell it so I can make profit. No, dig deep. There are ways to create unique and valuable positions and create that market fit. And that's how you create the strategy for increased pricing. All right, so cash. Once you look at this triangle, this is illustrating kind of the relationship between growth, profitability, and liquidity. And so growth and profitability equals liquidity. And back to my original slogan at the beginning, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. You cannot be successful in business without having cash. Cash supports paying your bills. It supports keeping your people employed. It supports keeping the lights on, right? You need to have cash. And the more cash you have, it's not because you're greedy. The more cash you have allows you to grow. So the liquidity is what fuels the growth. And if you're growing in a healthy way with strategic pricing in mind, it'll create profitability. You don't want to do what I did in my first business is grow, 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 but I wasn't growing profitably. And therefore, instead of having more cash, I went out of business. The cash supports growth. Healthy growth with the right strategy creates profitability. Profitability creates more cash and liquidity. And this is the cycle you want. And you keep growing. Hey, we have more cash. What should we do with that cash? Well, we want to grow. Let's think strategically about what we need to do to put those dollars to use to grow in a healthy way to create more profit. Wow, we've generated more profit. We have more cash. Let's do it again. This is how companies scale and grow in a healthy way. And companies can grow tremendously. I mean, that's how, these big companies go from tens of millions to hundreds of millions to billions. This is the model. But the cool thing is once you figure it out, it's just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But the key is healthy growth that's profitable to generate the cash. You've got to generate the cash. If you're growing and you're not doing it in a profitable way because you haven't figured out how to have that unique and valuable position, and so what are you doing? You're actually selling more things. You're not making money. And this is the thing that some people get caught up in is, but our revenue is way up. Okay, who cares? Well, but we're growing. Yeah, who cares? That we'll just sell more. Or then the kiss of death is, well, we just got to like cut some expenses and we'll just try to trim the fat so we can increase the profitability. I'm going to talk about in a minute that's one way to create cash, but that's not the best way. The best way is start on the front end with healthy growth with a strategic pricing model. How you can create value so you can charge the prices you need to charge that create real profitability. And you could still have a healthy business that supports that profitability. So healthy growth with the right pricing. Pricing is important. Another quick story. A lot of people think that their prices are really sensitive and therefore a change in pricing is going to be bad for your business. So people are scared. Why don't places raise prices? They're scared. What are they scared of? Well, if I raise my prices, people are going to be upset. And some people are going to be so upset they might stop doing business with me. And that's a legitimate fear. I'm not trying to say that it's not a fear at all. But what I say is let's challenge that fear a little bit. How real is it? So first of all, if that is a real fear, have you really done the right job to show your customer and explain why your product is valuable and why they should pay whatever you need to charge for it? So if you haven't really done that, maybe that's why that fear is there. So you got to maybe, again, dig deeper and figure out and really talk to your team and your customers and your employees. Why are we in business? Why do we sell this? Why are we better at this than anyone else? Why should people buy from us? And why should, if at all, they pay more to us than somebody else? You've got to really have those conversations and come to that thinking. The other thing is maybe you also don't know how price sensitive your customers are. So maybe you want to experiment a little bit. So another quick story for you. One of my other businesses was in e-commerce. And in that business, I was selling pocket knives. And we were selling branded pocket knives, all the top name brands out there. We were selling them online. And guess how many people were also selling what we were selling? I don't know, 50, 100, 1,000. I mean, we were selling a knife that was being sold in many, many other places. So I didn't have a unique product at all. No new unique product. And yet I was still selling it sometimes. I was selling a product that Walmart had. Walmart would sell it for $10. I'd be selling it for $12.99. And yet day in and day out, I would sell that product all the time for $12.99 against Walmart's $10. And again, this is e-commerce. Anyone with a click of a mouse can go and see every other place online and what the best price was and just buy it. $12.99 versus $10. Why in the heck would anyone want to buy it from me? And if they did, why would they want to pay $3 more than they pay it from Walmart? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I created a unique and valuable position in that business. What was it? Well, a few things. What did Walmart not have? They didn't have selection. So Walmart would have pocket knives. They sold a lot of pocket knives, don't get me wrong. But if you were looking for a serrated black pocket knife with AUS dash something steel, they had 2. I had 20. So I had way, way more, depth of inventory and products that spoke to what the customer might be looking for. So I had increased selection. What did I also have? Well, guess what? Better service, right? You could pick up the phone and call us and we would answer. We would help them. We'd answer their questions. We told them if you bought it and you didn't like it, we return it. Oh, we engraved the knives with your name on it too, so you can personalize it. So we created a valuable position. That's why people paid more for us than Walmart. And every day I was surprised, but I shouldn't have been, right? Because there was a value to what we were offering, even if it was not the low price leader. And that's kind of what this whole webinar is about, is you guys thinking about, you don't have to necessarily be the low price leader. You'd have to be strategic with your pricing, because the idea in business is to create profits and cash to support your business and support your growth. All right. So that's what got me to where I was. But now let me take it a step further. I was working on I think it was at the time, a 28% gross profit margin. And so I said, okay, I'm at $12.99 at 28% margin and Walmart's at 10. But my question was, am I pushing it to the limit of what my customers are willing to pay? That's again, back to that price sensitivity. That was the question I asked. So how did I answer it? Well, the cool thing is I'm in the e-commerce business at the time, and it was really easy to change a price online. And we also had a lot of customers come through our site, and there's a lot of data. So I was able to make some changes. And this is what I did. I made a 1% price increase a month. I took that $12.99 and increased it by 1%, and then watched what happened for a month. A lot of traffic, so I have a lot of data, and that data gave me information. Did my conversion rate of sales on that product go down from what it was previously with that price from $12.99 to 1% higher? After 1% and a month, guess what happened? Nothing happened. All my metrics stayed exactly the same. What did that tell me? It proved to me that my customer was willing to pay 1% more. They were already paying more than Walmart anyway. We weren't the price leader. That was not what we were trying to, change against. We were at $12.99. Could we raise our price 1% more? We did. It worked. Now instead of 28% gross profit margin, I was at 29% gross profit margin and at the cost of nothing. Fantastic. Okay. Did we stop there? No, we did not stop there. So the second month I said, hey, let's do another 1% and see what happens. I mean, why not, right? We're trying to see how elastic our price sensitivity is to our customer base. So we went up another 1% for the month. And after that month, again, have all this data. We weren't just guessing. We said, what did our customers think? What did they do? And again, they did nothing. The numbers didn't change at all. My metrics stayed exactly the same. The number of sales and conversion at now my 2% increase from the 2 months ago allowed me to keep another percent. And now I was at 30% gross profit margin. Yay me, right? 2% of gross profit margin without changing anything on the expense side puts 2% more on the bottom line. 2% on the bottom line on a lot of volume adds up to a lot of profit. It adds up to a lot of cash. It was very significant. Well, we decided to push our luck and say, well, if it worked for 1 month for 1%, 2 months for 2%, let's go for the third month, another 1%, and go for a 3% increase and see what happens. Well, guess what? And again, customers speak with their feet, right? They speak with their actions. At that point, I did notice a change in my conversion rate. In fact, it was pretty dramatic. We knew we hit the limit. That was the price sensitivity our customers were able to handle. And so at that point, we backed down to the 2% level where we were and left it there. But I learned what the price sensitivity was my customer was willing to pay. And so my challenge to you is, are you in fear of raising prices? And if you are, there's two things I want you to think about. First thing to think about is, if I don't think I can raise my prices, then going back to that strategic fit, have I really created a unique and valuable position and made tough choices about what my customer needs and made sure I really delivered that at a high level and have the market fit that I know that my customer will pay more to me than anyone else? That's what you need to be thinking about. That's what I did with my Pocket Knife website. So that's challenge one. And then challenge two is, can you try to raise prices and see what happens? You don't know until you try, and do whatever you think is comfortable or little or a lot to make sure. Now, the past few years with the way the inflation has been, most people actually are okay and understanding about price increases. So it's maybe not as crazy as you think to do so. And if you're able to raise prices 1%, 2%, 5%, heck, 10%, it's not crazy to think about those numbers, and nothing changes, what does that do to your profitability and how much then extra cash you'll be able to put in the bank to help support the growth of your company? All right. Anyone want to type in any specific questions on what we talked about so far? All right, going to move on. So let's take this now to the next level. So this is the highest level. Okay, we need to grow and have the right strategic prices. But this webinar is about strategic pricing, and I think I've hit that point enough. Now I want to kind of switch gears just a little bit and take you a little bit more into the profitability side of things. And as a business owner or leader in a company, what things do you have control over so you can increase that profitability and increase the cash of the business? Okay. This is a tool we use called the Cash Acceleration Tool. It's a great way to look at your business and how you can help make it a little bit more efficient. So this one goes back to that operational effectiveness. Again, you cannot create a strategy to build super profits on operational effectiveness, but by no means is operational effectiveness not important. It is very important. I just don't want you to confuse you to think that operational effectiveness is a strategy. Operational effectiveness is something you do within your business to help make sure it's running well, and therefore it helps with the profitability. But it is not in itself the strategy. The strategy is all the things we talked about up to this point. So now we're going to talk a little bit about operational effectiveness. So within most businesses, product or service, it doesn't matter. You have 4 overall cycles that the business goes through. You have a sales cycle. You have a production cycle where you make it or build it or work on creating the service. Then you deliver the service, deliver the product, and then billing and payment where you actually get paid for that product or service. So every business is a little different, and it's different how it all flows. You can see here B. Sometimes it actually starts before the sales cycle ends. Sometimes, people are doing it before. Sometimes maybe you don't start delivering or making the product until after it's completely sold. So all sorts of nuances here. And that really doesn't matter. Every business is unique. But the idea is there's a cycle. And from the start of the cycle to the end of the cycle is when you get paid. And at the end, you get paid, right? At the end of D is when you get paid. And the key is you want to get paid faster. The faster you get paid, that money's in your bank faster, and then those dollars are tools available to you to do what you need to do to support the business, create that liquidity, to create the growth, to create the profit. Back to that whole cycle. So the idea is to tighten it up. You want to tighten it up. And so how do you do that? You use a tool like this and you start asking yourself these questions. Now, what I love about this tool is a lot of the tools that we use with our clients are tools for the leadership. Hey, let's, as leaders, we're, the brain trust of the organization. Let's discuss these things and discuss and decide how we want to move forward with whatever it might be. This tool is best used for everybody. This is better used for the people out there in the field, the people closer to your customers, the people on the front lines who are doing the work. Now, why is that? Because they know everything. They know where all the dead bodies are hiding. They know all the inefficiencies. They know what's working and don't working. When you're in the office, and you're in leadership, are you kind of in that ivory tower? Are you really kind of losing touch with what's going on out there? There's a show on TV called, oh shoot, now I can't think of the name. Where the CEOs go Undercover Boss. The CEOs go undercover within their own companies. And why do they do that? Because when they're in these big corporate offices, especially these big companies, right, where there's lots of layers between the front line and the CEO, they don't know what's really going on out there. And if you've ever watched the show, sometimes the CEO sees things and they're flabbergasted because they had no idea these things were happening. And they were paramount to the business, like not little things, big things. So get out there and see what's really going on in your business. Again, back to my Walmart days, when I was at Walmart as a manager, the leaders from the home office in Bentonville, Arkansas, they did not sit in Bentonville, Arkansas week in and week out and just sit there and make decisions. They had a whole fleet of jets. And those executives were out in the stores, talking to the store managers, talking to the associates, talking to customers. You've got to be out there talking to your team and what's happening out there because they have all the answers to all your problems. Oh, that's one of my other favorite sayings that I love hearing. You want to make your business better? Go to who's got all the answers. And who has all the answers? Your employees have all the answers and your customers have all the answers. The problem is we usually don't ask them the right questions. So be thinking about what you need to ask these folks. They have all the answers to all the challenges. Don't just think you could sit there in the office and you know everything and you're smart and you could figure it all out. And a bunch of people in the leadership team could do that. You can't. The answers are out there in the field. So back to this tool, this cash acceleration tool. What I love about it is these are just simple questions that you can ask folks and they'll give you really good answers and it'll help. So question one, hey, how can we improve our sales cycle? You go to your sales team and you say, hey, sales team, well, it's taking us, 30 days to close a sale. It's taking us 120 days. It's taking us a week, whatever it is for your business. It's taking us a while. How can we close it faster? And the answers might surprise you. Oh, well, we have to get the manager to approve all prices, and it usually takes him X amount of time. Oh, we didn't know that that's one of the bottlenecks. That's good information to know. We could fix that. Or, all sorts of things. So keep in mind, A, sales cycle. How can you reduce the sales cycle? How do you shorten the cycle time? And then the second question is, hey, are we making any mistakes? Oh yeah, you know what? Every time we submit a proposal, when the customer wants to do something different, we have to start from ground one, and it takes another 2 weeks to get the new proposal back to that client. Oh, well, that's a mistake. We got to figure out how we can fix it get it right the first time, or if it's not right the first time, how we don't have to go back to step one. We can just go to the last step, make that initial adjustment, and not have to go through the whole process all over again. That's ways to eliminate mistakes. How do you shorten the sales cycle? Shorten the cycle, eliminate mistakes. Or maybe you just want to improve the whole process. This says, I know it's small, I apologize, but this says improve the business model. Well, how can you change the way you do it to make it more effective? Your sales team will say, you know what? It's ridiculous that we have to do this and this and this every time we want to try to make a sale. Okay, well, my job is to help make the sales process easier. And now as a leader, you understand the challenge and you can maybe change how you do it to make it work better and make it more effective. So this is what you do. You do this for sales cycle. You do this for the production team. You do this for your delivery cycle, and then you do this for accounting and figuring out how you can make things more effective. A lot of companies focus on the accounting side. You're like, oh, yeah, we're getting paid slow. So you're thinking only on the billing and payment cycle. We need to shorten that. Well, yeah, that's great, and you should, but this cycle's A, B, and C before you get to the cycle D. So all of those things. On the billing and payment cycle, are you collecting within your 30-day terms if that's what your terms are? If you're not, what's going on? You need to ask. Oh, well, you know what? All invoices we send out have to be, again, approved by the CEO, and it sits on his desk for a week before he signs them to send out. Oh, well, then I'm the bottleneck. Okay, well, then I got to figure out how to change that. Maybe that's not the best practice. So again, lots of questioning the people that have the answers, and then questioning your process, your systems, and how you can be more effective. But if you can run your business more effectively, and for every dollar you spend in your business, it can come back quicker. Now you have those dollars faster, which increases that liquidity, which increases your ability to grow, to increase more profit and get that cycle back. So this is operational efficiency. And this is a great tool to use with your entire team because they have way more answers to these questions than you would sitting in your office. All right, but there is another tool that we can use, and this tool now is just for the leadership team. As leaders in the business, it is your responsibility to create the healthy cash flow and profitability for the business. And so here on this list, again, it's small, I apologize, but there are 7 levers that as a leadership team, you have the ability to affect in the business, which affects profitability and cash flow. 7, 3 on the P&L side. I'm sorry, 4 on the P&L side and 3 on the balance sheet side. So let me go over these with you real quick. So the first is price increase. Wait, what? Yeah, this is exactly what we spent the first 20 minutes talking about, right? If you increase your prices, it affects your margin, cash flow, and profitability. So as a leadership team, you have the ability to increase your prices. That's one lever you have to affect your profitability. So that we already talked about that. So another lever you have is volume increase. Yeah, you can just sell more. But the interesting thing about selling more is when you sell more, there's usually a lot of extra work that goes into selling more. If you raise your prices 1% and nothing else changes, there's no extra work for the company. But if you increase your volume 1%, 2%, 10%, if you sell more, there's a lot more work. We have to produce more. We have more overhead. There's more wear and tear on our equipment or our people. Like to sell more costs more. And so, yes, you want to sell more and you can, but if you had a choice between increasing volume by 10% or increasing price by 10%, which would you do? Well, of course, it depends. And it goes back to what we talked about price elasticity and things like that. But if everything was equal, it'd be a lot better to increase your prices by 10%. It'd have way more of an impact on your bottom line than volume, because for every $1 in price increase, if nothing else changes, that's 1% to the bottom line. Every 1% of volume increase, that's not 1% to the bottom line because you have additional cost to that 1%. So less of it goes to the bottom line. Okay, so what's a third way you can work on increasing your profitability? You can work on reducing your cost of goods sold. When was the last time you worked with your vendor partners on maybe getting a price decrease or buying at a level that gets you a better price? So, or changing vendor partners or any other way that you could look at reducing your costs. Again, if you reduce your costs, if nothing else changes, those dollars go right to the bottom line. For every % in cost reduction, that's a 1% increase in gross margin, and it goes right to the bottom line as a 1% increase in profitability. So it's really awesome if you could figure out how to reduce your costs. And then finally, overhead reduction. And so that's now just cutting expenses, payroll or any other sort of overhead. Every time you cut expenses, that affects your profitability as well. So as leaders of a business, these are the 4 ways you can affect profitability by adjusting these 4 levers on the P&L side. And I highly encourage you as a leadership team to start thinking about ways you can do that. So this is actually called the Power of One. There's actually a software program that we use with our clients that actually puts all of your numbers into this software, and then you could start playing around. It'll start like running numbers, and I'm going to show you an example of this in a second, but it allows you then to, the power of one means, hey, if we just make 1% change, what happens? And you could look at the numbers on a spreadsheet before you actually implement them in your business, because now you could start making assumptions and discussing them. Hey, if we raised our prices 25%, something crazy like that, 25%, how much more revenue would that put in? Well, you could say, ooh, that's a lot. Okay, but wait. If we do 25% price increase, how much business are we going to lose? And then you plug in, well, we're going to lose 20% of our customers. Okay, 20% reduction in volume, 25% price increase. Does that actually give us more money than if we did nothing? Those are the kind of, scenarios that you could play out with the software and kind of let the numbers help show you, what will work and what might not work based on what you want to try. Okay, so those are ways that you can impact the business on the P&L side that you have choices on and levers you can pull. So now let's talk about the balance sheet side. So on the balance sheet, payables, receivables, and inventory. That's what these things are. Payables, receivables, and inventory. If you reduce the amount of receivables you have, or you get the receivables, instead of getting paid in 30 days, you get paid in 29 days or 28 days, or God forbid, you're running 30-day receivables, but you get paid in 60, if you can get it actually back to 30 days, those dollars come in faster, and therefore that increases your cash and your balance sheet. So receivables, getting them faster, payables, paying them slower. So again, big companies, what are they notorious for doing? And if you haven't done business with them, then you haven't seen this. They're notorious for paying late on purpose. They know what they're doing. They know they can get away with it because they're a big customer and therefore they have a little wait. And they know if you gave them 30-day terms and they pay in 60, 60-day terms they pay in 90, what are you going to do about it? But those 30 days of dollars in their bank account versus in your bank account is valuable to them. So again, you might not have the same ability, but within payables, if you can push payables slower, of course, your payables is somebody else's receivables. So it's kind of like funny that I say, hey, you got to work on getting your receivables down. You want to get paid faster. Oh, but you should pay a little slower. But hey, this is business, and you're trying to do what's best for your business to support the health and profitability of your company. So just be thinking about, mindful, and discuss what possibilities we have to adjust your payables and your receivables. And every day you shorten those or lengthen them, it affects your cash flow tremendously. And again, if you plugged it into the software, you could see what those numbers would actually translate to based on your own real company numbers. And then inventory. Inventory turns is a huge, huge cash suck. My first business, that mattress company that I talked about, I told you that I made a mistake on strategy with pricing and having a unique, valuable position. Okay, that was a huge mistake. The other mistake I made was on the inventory side. So for everything I sold, I needed to have the inventory to sell it. And the more I started selling, the more inventory I needed. And I couldn't get the production, inventory, and cash needs, capital to support that in a healthy way. And what happened is the more I sold, the more I needed to have way more on the shelf. And I just couldn't make that happen fast enough. And that was also part of the problem that I experienced. But if, let's say you turn your inventory 4 times a year, if you were able somehow to get tighter with the way you do inventory and turn it 5 times a year, that would generate tremendous amount of cash. So be looking about inventory and how to maximize your inventory levels and your turns. What are those par inventory levels? Kind of more like the just in time, just enough to healthily meet your business, but not too much. A great example of this, Dell computers. Way back in the day, Dell was manufacturing computers, and they had a whole line of computers that they made. And what they would do is they would make them and put them on the shelf. And then they would say, hey, world, I've got these computers we made. Please buy them. Well, think about how much cash they had sucked up in inventory of computers just sitting on the shelf. Cost them a lot of cash. So what did they do? They changed their business model. They actually started doing custom ordering of computers. Now, when you think about it, the customer actually probably prefers customizing their computer than just to buy what was already made on the shelf. So the customer actually valued that more. And yet it was actually better for Dell because they now collected the money up front And now they could make the computer, but they already got paid before they even made it. And then as soon as they make it, they ship it and everybody's happy. So talk about a complete switch. They turned millions and millions of dollars of cash sucked up in inventory. And instead of having millions of dollars sucked up in cash, they had millions of dollars now in their bank because now they had nothing in inventory. All their money was actually from the customer that they give them ahead of time so they can make sure that then they just made the computers. So how I challenge you again, how can you think about your inventory and changing the way it's done? Not maybe to the extreme of Dell, but the quicker you turn your inventory, the quicker you're going to be able to increase your cash. So these are the 7 different ways that you can impact your profitability by being operationally effective. And if you marry this along with the strategy on pricing, it's a powerful combination to make a company that'll be really profitable and healthy and allow you to have the cash to grow that you want. So this is just a quick example of showing you that Power of One software where you plug in your numbers and you can literally just keep checking these boxes, 1%, 2%, this, that, and then it kind of shows you the numbers on how it affects your profitability and cash. So a really powerful tool that we use with our clients. All right, I think that is most of what I wanted to cover. I want to let you know that these webinars are part of a whole series of webinars that we do. These are free to the public. We want to share, we want to help, we want to educate, we want businesses to be more successful, and that's why we do these webinars. So I hope they're helpful. I want you to go to our website and look at the ones that are coming up and sign up for any and all of them that you want. And then if any specific thing comes up that you need help with, then you know that we're here for that too. We do these webinars. We also do public workshops where we spend a full day in person with clients and show them what we can do. So keep in mind that we've got all these great events that we can help you and your business grow. And I will leave you with some free offers. We will do a business evaluation, a coaching session. We'll help you evaluate your meetings, or we'll do a people disc assessment. We just want to help folks, so please look at these offers and scan them if it's something that you're interested in. We're going to follow up with an email, and if you also then have any questions or want any of these free offers, you can also do it there. And I am Warren Sager with Assured Strategy, and it's been a pleasure speaking to you. And I left about 5 minutes from our allotted 1 hour because if somebody did have any follow-up questions, I wanted to feel free to take them before everyone left. So thank you for your time and attention, and please let me know if you have any questions now. I'll take them, and if you don't feel comfortable, then you could email them to us later, and I'll help you one-on-one. Any questions from the group? Going once, going twice. Okay, folks, I hope this was important and valuable and will help you move your business forward with increased cash and profitability. And thanks for being part of an Assured Strategy webinar. You have a great day. Bye.